how hard is unschooling and how hard will it be for you? Okay, maybe you've decided that unschooling is the right choice for you and your family, but you keep having worries pop up. You're on board, but you have these lingering concerns or doubts. I think it's important for you to tackle each of these individually, dive deeper into what the concern is to see if there are some changes you need to make or if it's some faulty thinking on your part. That faulty thinking is what I want to talk about this week. It's what's underneath all those other issues. It's the thinking that was conditioned into us without our even realizing it. A tendency to lean toward conformity or comparison, and even thoughts that we still might hold as facts when they really are not. But before we start, I'm Sue Patterson, your host here at the Unschooling Mom2Mom podcast. If you've been listening, welcome back. Did you know we crossed over the 200,000 downloads mark last week? I'd love it if you'd leave a comment on the platform you're listening to. It helps the podcast powers that be know this is worth sharing with others. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. I try to come in here weekly to give you a little unschooling pep talk. I know you're busy, so I try to keep it around 10 minutes. I have all kinds of support for you on this homeschooling journey, even if you're not unschooling all the way yet. We're all at different places on this path, but my resources will help you see that you have options and your days could be a lot more joyful and connected with your kids, as opposed to the power struggles and coercion we hear so much from other parents out in the world. Life really doesn't have to be like that. And unschooling can make that happen. So reach out if you need more information. Here's the thing. I can tell you with 100% confidence that unschooling works. My own 3 kids are grown now, and they didn't do the traditional approach to education. They learned through life, through their interests, and as they moved through the community. And they got into colleges and have careers and own homes and have families. Doors didn't close. In fact, more opened. And I'm circling back to make sure you know that someone whose regular kids did this and are happy they did. This could be a path for you and your kids too. Just reach out. Okay, on to the question of how hard is this unschooling thing going to be? For some, unschooling makes perfect sense. Learning what you want, when you want, and staying with it until you're no longer interested or something else beckons your curiosity. People who have a natural tendency to want to know more usually fall into unschooling easily. My husband was like this. School had relatively no impact on him, positively or negatively, except he liked band and his band director. And his draft number was 3, and it was 1968, so he left 12th grade mid-year for Vietnam. He had never been an extroverted child, and his family had no spare money for spring break trips or loads of extracurriculars. School was just something to get through until your real life started. I had a different experience. I was social and extroverted, a little too chatty for my classrooms, though, and I often found myself at odds with my teacher, even though I was engaged and smart. This wrestling for power went on for years, so by the time my teen years rolled around, I was quite comfortable with my teacher's disapproval. Add in a little righteous indignation for being asked to do so many mind-numbing activities and using their authoritarian approach on me. Like my husband, school was a place that had to be endured, inevitable, or so I thought. So what about my more compliant peers? Those who played by the rules and often excelled. They hacked the system. They probably don't remember a lot because the goal wasn't really to learn. Top grades, gold stars, class ranking. Such was the currency of these students. You may relate to this. It makes sense that students with these kinds of experiences grow into parents who have a harder time with unschooling. They enjoyed their school experience, figured out the system, and churned out what the teachers wanted at just the right volume and intensity. Most likely, they were unaware of the problems others faced in their classroom settings, or they may have even been conditioned to scoff or feel a little smug or superior. Whichever history fits you, know that we all carry baggage from our past experiences. Some of it helps us with risk-taking and pushing the boundaries of the box, while others have trouble shedding the comfort of their hard-earned status, even when it's behind them. But then our own children enter the picture with their own strengths and skills for navigating the world, Do we encourage them to be creative and brave? Or does our competitive, comparative nature creep out, encouraging some steps but not others, still yearning for and prioritizing safety and approval? It all depends on the lens we look through, right? We all bring baggage or stories that our brain tells us are facts, even when they're not. Like, do well in school and you'll be a successful adult, or success equals money, or don't rock the boat or bad things will happen, or don't align yourself with rebels or people might think you're one too, or don't disagree with the grown-ups in charge, or my personal favorite, wrong moves will go onto your permanent record and ruin your life. These ideas that were pounded into us year after year aren't really true at all. They were tools used to condition us into compliance. It wasn't really for our own good. It was to keep the system rocking along without a glitch. We learned to be comfortable with conformity. We learned how to be good people pleasers. Even after we've graduated and left school, we carry some of these ideas and patterns with us. For parents moving toward unschooling, they or you may begin to have a little clarity about the reality of life. The real world is very different from the school world. And you can begin to see where a lot of what was said doesn't hold water. Who says all kids must learn to read by 8? Who says everyone needs to know the quadratic equation? Who says the ability to memorize random facts will be the indicator of how smart you are? Who says that you must learn all topics in a sequential order drug out over 12 years? So some adults grow up to send their kids off to school and don't give any of this a lot of consideration. Their parents did it, now they do. But other parents like you start to pull back the curtain and see more truth. Again, it's just the lens you're looking through. But lenses are typically clear glass. They just need a little cleaning to get rid of what doesn't serve us or anyone else anymore. This is all part of the deschooling process. We have to see what our obstacles are so we can break them apart to see what's real and what isn't. Everyone's path is different. Over the years, I've heard people describe their personal school experiences, and a few commonalities keep recurring. Your own history may actually predict how logical unschooling feels to you. It may be a factor in whether you or maybe your spouse or your friends keep coming up with obstacles and objections to overcome. Those who struggled in school may be completely ready to cast off those shackles of a schooly way of thinking. So let's look at these two different categories and see where you fall, because your own school history might make predictions here. Unschooling is sometimes harder for straight A students, people pleasers, teachers' pets, overachievers, conformers, competitive people, rule followers, popular kids, or if you love school. Unschooling is sometimes easier for the nonconformists or the troublemakers or the class skippers or the bored kids or the daydreamers or bullied kids or the class clowns or the frequent detention attendees, or if you hated school. So you may find yourself in one of these two different categories. But the good news is it's not chiseled into stone. Instead, think of it as turning on the light to see what the baggage actually is. Unschooling success always boils down to knowledge and support. You need good information to help you really understand what unschooling is and how it works. This month, my courses are half off, jumping into unschooling and learning math without a curriculum. So getting this information now, before the tsunami of the back to school season officially hits, will help you stand up against the storm. You'll have more confidence. And with that 50% savings, you'll have more money in your pocket to buy those season passes or good art supplies or whatever is needed. And support, you're always welcome to join my membership group where I can give you that extra hand-holding that can help you navigate through all this. I love helping families see how unschooling can work for them too. So that's probably enough for this week, right? Reach out if you want to work together, and I'm happy to help you. In the meantime, connect with your kids, prioritize the relationship, and know that learning is happening all around you. And I'll be back again next week.